the head. So it's not a Sakura.
But at least we have two balls here.
So now the decision has been made.
Yeah.
He's taking around.
He's staying.
And
He's staying with a new contract.
Yes, and I've seen.
And I think Liverpool also has one.
Yes, and a slot. Yes,
Yeah.
Baldy.
Yeah.
So the Baldies now: Sean Dyche, Maresca,
Yeah.
Slot.
Ten Hag,
Pep.
Slot, Pep. So
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Five out of 20 are bald.
No problem.
All those
So
clubs
after
Or Sakura
they'll
again.
be,
Yeah.
they'll be mid-table clubs when the next season starts.
No problem. I've seen you draw into history
Yeah.
and how Fergie,
Yeah.
his head was demanded,
Yeah.
and after that he performed wonders.
Yeah.
And I said, here we go again.
Yeah, man.
We'll be here
They have started again.
next season.
No problem.
We'll be here.
We'll be here.
So I was just learning that Eric Ten Hag has gotten the support of the owners.
Sergeant Ratcliffe, yes.
Yes. And it is looking good for him. But the point is that he has 1 year contract.
No,
Still.
that is being worked on.
And it's being worked on.
An extension is being
extension,
done,
yeah.
yes.
Extension.
Yeah.
And then that is good. But if that is not done, then it means I don't
It
understand
will be
the kind
done.
of
So
backing.
stop saying it won't be. It will be done.
For now, it hasn't been done. You say it will be done. For
You
now,
see,
what we know is that it
first
hasn't
they said
been done.
you'll be sacked.
Yeah.
The sack didn't happen.
But
He's staying.
I
Now,
am,
contract. Don't worry.
I am surprised you still believe that Eric Ten Hag is the man for
see,
United.
You told me off air, and me, I'll say it here.
There's nobody on
Because
the-
I
there's nobody on the
I don't like that thing.
When
He
I
said-
said, when I
he
said it,
said-
oh, when I said,
He said, "This is your coach. He's your top coach.
hey,
If they sack him, that is good news for us." I said, "No problem.
No
They sack
problem.
him."
Ivy, you know that when your enemy is suffering, you are always happy.
Yeah.
So
Ah,
when Eric
he
Ten
was
Hag,
misleading
United
you.
is suffering.
no problem.
Why
So
should
he
I?
was
Well, I'm
misleading
happy.
you.
I'm happy because when I meet United, home and away, Kusu 6 points.
That
Outside goal, Kramun show.
that ends now.
It ends now.
In 2 seasons, you have won 3. No, you have won 3 and then lost 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Last season we lost.
Last 2 seasons,
Yeah, last 2 seasons.
you won 1, lost 1.
Yes. And then
Last
this
season,
season,
I
last
lost
season,
both.
yes. So out of the 4, it's 3-1.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
correct
good.
that next season. No worry.
You do. Who collect?
We'll
you
correct that next season. Yeah.
You know, United is going into the season. You're not looking at all players, which players you buy, and all that. You're looking at what
You
kind
think-
of tactics.
you think-
I
You think we haven't sorted that out
can you
already?
look at United and
Do you honestly
be
think
able
we have
to
not sorted
tell
that out
us
already?
the kind of system they are playing?
No, you can't. No, you can't.
It's just about put 11 players on the pitch and they are running,
Yeah.
kicking.
No problem.
That's true.
Yes.
I remember the chaos of Arteta in his first 3 seasons. I will never forget.
No,
But it's
Arteta
fine.
has a plan.
And mine has what? A bald head and no plan. No problem.
Arteta was doing it in phases.
Has Arteta ever beaten Pep?
Yes,
How many times?
twice.
Huh?
One in the league, and then in the Community Shield. we beat him.
Community Shield.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we beat him. United. Pep also in the FA Cup.
Okay.
Arteta's first FA. He beat.
Okay. But when it mattered
Pep.
most, you couldn't beat him.
The last season we picked 4 points from Manchester City. We won at the Emirates, 0-0 at Etihad. So next season we are claiming double, home and away, like it happened to United.
The nearly team. Go ahead.
The nearly one.
You beat me
We
last
want
season.
United
What
to
did
be
you get?
nearly
Nothing.
to be a nearly team Sam.
You beat me last season. What did you get at the end of the season? Nothing.
Yeah.
I would say
I'm just happy that the uncertainty has been resolved now. Now, Man U knows, and then everybody knows that you guys are sticking with
Akpos.
Ten Hag, right?
Yeah.
Stability.
You have to do some business in the market, and I'm
course.
sure that's not lost on you
Of
guys,
course.
right?
Of course.
It's good. Let's see what next season brings. But I have no belief in your belief that he will turn things around. You said that 2 seasons ago, right?
First season he was third, won
Yeah.
a Carling Cup.
Yeah.
And this
Last season was terrible.
went backward.
Went 8th.
Yeah.
And won an FA Cup.
And
This
then-
next season will not be worse than last season.
No. So what I want to see, I want.
We
I
have-
wanted
we have
to
gone
see-
down.
Yes.
Okay.
The only way we can go now is up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
No
you
problem.
can go up.
But you can go down again. You know that, right?
Not
No,
possible.
they can.
We hear you.
Not possible.
You notice that Arteta plays about 8-8.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then went to
It's
second,
possible.
right?
Yeah, it's possible United
8th.
because I'm looking at United's squad now,
Yeah.
and I can see a lot of changes
Yeah.
happening. United cannot be Liverpool, where you do a lot of changes and still manage to get the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way
Yeah.
it
It will
went.
take a while
It will
for the
take a
players
while
to settle.
with-
No problem.
But it's good. Like I said, it's good. See, so you guys are sticking with Arteta, no problem. You guys
Forever.
are sticking with
You
Ten Hag.
have Maresca.
We
now.
have Maresca,
No Europe,
right?
which means you have a clear one like
Yeah.
Conte season.
Exactly.
That's nice.
So let's see what they cook for us next season, right?
We'll all be here to enjoy it.
The Euros are now. Let's talk about the Euros. Rather.
The Euros
are
have
here.
overshadowed the transfer business.
Yeah.
We'll
I
know
think-
that to hit
I
up.
think the Euros, we can
Yeah.
agree that it will be between Portugal and France.
Final.
Yeah,
You are looking at the two teams who go final.
France will stick
But
a claim.
there will be a surprising.
I
nation
won't
in there.
overlook the English. I'm not lying to
won't.
you.
I won't.
I won't
They,
overlook
they
them.
always flatter to deceive.
No, I'm not saying they win it. I'm not saying they will win
they'll
it,
go
but
far.
they'll make progress.
Don't go far.
They'll make progress.
But Belgium has also got some.
Their
decent-
defense is very wobbly.
The Netherlands.
Very, very, very
It
wobbly.
depends on what Southgate plays.
Point
If he
me-
plays
point-
score, let's score.
Point me to a centre back pairing that will work for England.
I get you. That's the point. I'm saying that they can do a
You-
Chelsea.
you don't
Score,
you don't have
let's
one in
score.
mind.
I'll score.
yeah, score, let's score. They can.
They met Iceland.
Oh.
They were
Yeah,
scored in
oh,
the 9th minute. They could not score.
That one is
You know,
a
they-
friendly game.
Upon
Friendly,
all
they
the-
wasted
what are you
chances.
talking about?
Did you see the
Friendly
chances that they wasted?
A team with character. It doesn't matter.
No,
Portugal
some-
yesterday,
no,
it was a
some-
friendly match.
No, I agree. But sometimes when you are preparing for major tournament like
Yeah.
that,
What,
players
you are
want to
putting the
be-
goals in the
players
what?
want to be on a plane. No?
Yeah. Yeah, so they're
Nobody
careful,
wants
they're
to be
cautious,
injured.
and what
You
have
just
you.
want to be there.
Yeah. So me, honestly, see, I was really the last person to be rooting for the English, but I just feel that
They'll
they'll
be there.
go far. There was the name, the one they placed it.
That was the Euros. The
No,
same.
they call it what? The something cup.
Yeah. So Europe.
Yeah, still Europe, yes, but of course, yeah, that one was
Nations
was it.
League.
Nations
Nations
League.
League.
They placed it. If Southgate is unable to build up on that, I'm sure this will be his very final.
Fire him.
Yeah, time in
He
charge
knows.
of the English. Yes.
He
It
knows
was-
that he
yeah.
doesn't deliver a trophy, he's
Yeah,
out.
that's how come he's also not taking prisoners. If he has to ask you, he will ask you like Grealish and what have you. He will drop you.
No. I
because-
think I think that to make that call was a very tough one.
Yeah.
To drop somebody like Green. As for Maguire, it's clear because he was
Injury.
injured.
Luke Shaw is the one that surprised me because he's
Yeah.
been injured.
Yeah.
He's not played for a while.
Now, to insist on him means that
he doesn't have a
it means
choice.
you don't
He
have
doesn't have a
Yeah.
choice. Chilwell.
strong left back options.
Chilwell is
Chilwell
also
was-
injury
yeah.
prone.
Reece
Yeah,
James
he's
is a right
just
back, right?
Reece James, I know why he didn't risk
Reece James.
Reece.
The guy has been injured for
He
a very
could
long
go, and then it's even in our interest that he didn't take him.
so that he can rest.
And
then
the guy is still
recover.
young. He can still break into the English team.
I think your medical team needs to explain what
Yeah,
happened.
when I
because
see
It's some way.
Reece James's
It's some way.
issue, then it reminds me of Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
You remember that young child?
Oh, yeah,
Jack
from Arsenal,
Wilshere.
yeah.
Injuries
Yeah.
just blighted his career.
Yeah.
Things like
Even Hargreaves. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
Owen
one.
Hargreaves.
Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
France.
Yeah.
It's okay. We are not talking about
Thomas.
Anyway.
Arsenal. We are
You know
talking about
today,
amazing
you know
players.
today, court will meet Parliament, right?
some point.
But whatever played out in Parliament, in court yesterday, played out in Parliament as well. So when you get
So-
to that topic,
No, so let's
Yeah.
call today's episode
Yeah.
not court today,
yeah,
bridge today.
yes, we're
Bridge
bridging.
being the court and parliament.
Yes,
Two arms of government
yes,
bridging today. Okay.
yeah, slugging it out.
Murtala,
Francis.
without further ado, let's go straight to it. So the ambulance trial case
Yes.
has been hot.
Very, very. Very.
Let's clear men's goal first, then we can go to ambulance. Then the ambulance confluence can continue. For the men's goal case, what happened in court yesterday?
So yesterday, the defense and prosecution had the opportunity to address the court. You know, the prosecution has closed their case. They called 9 witnesses. So now the court will have to make a determination as to whether or not there is a prima facie evidence, for which reason Nam1 will have to mount the witness box and open his defense. Now, as part of the submission of no case, the lawyers, the parties, I might say, prosecution on one side and the defense lawyers were directed to file written submission, which they did. Yesterday, before Justice Ernesto Usu-Dapai, Justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting with additional responsibility as a High Court judge, gave the parties opportunity to highlight some of the things that they want the court to take note of. And it was very interesting. Come and see Kwame Akufo. Very, very, very animated, very, very, very active on his seat when he stood in front of the court and to address. And all that he's saying is that if you look at the allegations made as we speak, it's only 9 people who are before the court to complain that they have issues. Nam1 has allegedly defrauded them. Where are the other complainant in the case, and you cannot convict somebody for faceless complainant. So in effect, he is saying that all the witnesses who have come to court never, as it were, say anything that required NAM1 to open his defense. And he says so many things about business models and how NAM1 was granted the giving license to operate and all that. Prosecution, on the other hand, also said that, look, through their witnesses, they have been able to prove that NAM1 has a case to answer. There are certain things, models that he himself has explained. The court will need an explanation from that. So Justice Ernesto also listened to the parties and said, look, on July 10, the court will make that determination. So two things, one of them will happen. Is either NAM1 is walking home free because there's no case for him to answer, or he will have to mount the witness box to answer when the court finds that prima facie evidence has been established. So that is what happened in relation to NAM1. So yesterday, the lawyers addressed the court orally on their respective submission of no case, written submissions, I might say, and Justice Ernesto Usudapa will make that ruling on July 10 at 10 a.m. July 10 at 10. Yeah. Rhyming. So we'll be speaking to the aggrieved men's good customer. Let's listen to Fred Forson.
I think it's all well and good, and we know that the submission of no case is part of the court processes, and usually if you happen to be somebody who comes to court and sit in when some of these criminal trials are going on, defense team always apply this technique or strategy in making this submission of no case. But we are very hopeful, and we know that on the side of the prosecution there is a strong case, and we believe that NAM1 has a case to answer. So we leave that one to the court to decide on the 10th July that the date is fixed for. This year we have decided to vote because of our money. As customers, we have decided to vote because of our money. We appreciate the moves by the Office of the Attorney General in taking this case to the higher courts. And so far, so good. We are very happy with the kind of commitment exhibited by the Attorney General, the Office of the Attorney General, including the AG himself, the Deputy, and the DPP. We don't want any blackmail. So if he's a political national security officer, we are cautioning him that this time he should be very professional and ensure he should be the person who should rather take the plight and the welfare of customers to the government so that they will be moved to pay the customers. So far, more than 220 people have died.
Okay, so that's
Fred Forson.
Okay.
Yeah, he speaks for the aggrieved men's good customer who are always in court in their number. So we are hoping to see the outcome. For them, they are hoping that the court will ask NAM1 to mount the witness box and open his defense because there is a case for him to answer. So that's what happened in relation to the NAM1 case.
All right, now to the ambulance case.
The fight between the judiciary and the
yeah, that's where the confluence comes. So part A is on what happened in court yesterday. We were told that the court was to determine the admissibility of the controversial audio recording.
Yes.
On that conversation between the Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame,
you're right,
and the businessman Richard Jakpa. What happened in court yesterday?
So yes, flowing from what happened at the last court sitting where the court made the rulings on the various applications filed by the accused person after this whole issue came up, the audio in controversy was played in the open court, and after the tape was played, lawyers of Dr. Kasila Tuforsin, led by Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba, intended to tender it through the witness Richard Jakpa. Then the Attorney General's Department, led by the Director of Public Prosecution, I must say that Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayeboah was also there. But it was the DPP who addressed the court, and he said they are raising objection.
Who's the DPP?
Mrs. Yvonne Atakra Obubisa.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she's the DPP.
Unmistakable.
Yeah.
The name is unmistakable.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes. yes.
So she said, look, we are raising objection. And the first point is that they have not laid a proper foundation for that tape to be tendered. And she made reference to how prosecution laid the foundation in the high treason case, Dr. Frederick Yaumapam, and then sometimes they will have to even get people to have the whole audiovisual transcribed, put the text before the court vis-a-vis the video. It said they laid proper foundation. But in relation to this one, they haven't laid a proper foundation. Number two, there's no relevance. If you look at what is contained in the tape and what is before the court, there's no relevance of this particular tape to be allowed. And she also made a point that, look, for a tape to be recorded secretly in the manner that it was done, it means that it should be in relation to a commission of a crime. And what was said by the Attorney General has nothing to do with a crime being planned or really planning to commit a crime. So privacy in the breach of privacy. So drew the court attention to some provisions and things that the court, and also made reference to the court's own ruling that if you listen to the tape very well, it was rather Jakpa who was suggesting certain things to the Attorney General and all that. So the court should look at that and then they should not allow the tape to go in. Then Dr. Aziz Bamba, counsel for Dr. Kasila Tuforsin, first of all, his first opening words were that the objection is frivolous, it's unattainable, and same should be dismissed. He went ahead to explain that, look, the subject matter before the court is how we are told that Atuforsin issued a letter of credit which led to the release of funds and all that. And we heard on the tape the Attorney General speaking to that, making the point that it was Jakpa who as it were, had this whole thing paid. And so why are you saying that this tape is not relevant? He also made the point that, look, the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor of the state. And when the AG is making a case against you, the AG speaks through witnesses. The AG going ahead to call an accused person, for the accused person to accept his theory, just so to have an accused person punished. He said, no, this cannot be. Attorney General cannot act this way. Through their court attention to provisions and the provision that allow the Attorney General or give the Attorney General the power to initiate an action and also have the power to terminate an action. Then he said, look, this matter is before you, my lady. And the kind of things done by the Attorney General in relation to this amount to contempt of court, because he was subjecting or putting the authority of the subjecting the authority of the court into disrepute. He's taking a decision even before the court will have to take a decision. Then Justice Efiase Wasaribucho listened to the parties and was of the view that, look, I have to adjourn this case for ruling. So hopefully tomorrow there's a sitting and the court is meeting. So Justice Efiase Wasaribucho will tomorrow deliver a ruling on the objection as to whether the objection should be sustained or overruled. But of course, one person who was missing in court yesterday was the Attorney General. I noticed that during the ruling, the court advised that it would be prudent that he directly do not involve himself in the prosecution of this case based on that conversation that is had. And so yesterday he wasn't present. We've been speaking to the Deputy Attorney General.
Before you get to Deputy Attorney General, the tape was played in court.
Yes.
Talk to me about the reactions you saw for all the parties in the room when the tape was being played.
So it was a very packed courtroom. Everybody was very ready to listen to what was happening. So you look at the accused person, of course, they are the focus of attention. So from where Dr. Kasila Tuforsin was seated, he was seated in between Emmanuel Kofi Amaboa. Then you have Emmanuel Kofi Amaboa at the far end. Then Dr. Atuforsin was in the middle. Then Richard Japa followed. Then I think there was one other known NPP, and then Felix Kwacho Fusu was also there, 5 of them. And when the tape was being played, Japa was very quiet on his phone. You know, he's got a very jovial face. Sometimes he was very on his phone and his head was down, paying attention to that. But the minority leader had both hands put together. And this way, how do you call it?
Okay, so more like a pensive look.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very attentive looking at. And then Justice Efiase Wasaribuchi also had a similar posture with the wig and then the glasses and then very quiet. And then So at a point where, and the prosecution was also very, and then the lawyers very quiet because some of them had even listened to it before then too. That side was very normal. But in the courtroom, everybody was attentive whether we're going to hear something different. But ultimately, it was the video audio that we have heard being played and all that. And there was a little bit of reactions from when the point where the Attorney General was suggesting to the accused person to procure, medical excuse duty, and Japa was making reference. You want this woman to issue a bench warrant for my arrest again. I was looking for a reaction from the judge, but he looked very calm, very stable in the position that she was. You wouldn't see any reaction that was,
Well, has she covered her face?
At the point, yes, she had both hands in her face like this, and then so it was difficult to assess the judge's demeanor at that particular point in time. But ultimately, after the tape was played, the court had to adjourn for a ruling on that. So we'll know whether tomorrow whether the tape will go in or won't go in. But the Deputy Attorney General, like I said earlier, had been explaining why the Attorney General was not in court and why at one point in time the court said, I am admitting this audio, and today the prosecution is objecting to admissibility. Let's listen to it.
You were raising objections to the children of these men. What exactly are you raising that you're assigning to this?
I think very deeply. She raised about two objections. One about relevance, then one about constitutional infractions. So I'm not going to details very important. The judge will definitely do the ruling on it to know where it will be.
There are many who are wondering about the fact that in the rulings of this application, the court admits this very video. Now, it's been tendered to the accused person and then there's an objection. Many will want to know what's the difference.
Yeah, when it comes to motions, the judge explained, motion for mistrial, that document was exhibited and justified. She was going to consider because the basis of mistrial was that something untold had been done. The judge needed to ascertain whether from the tape something bad had been done by the learned AG. And the judge was so clear that the AG was not heard on that tape suggesting that the third accused person should implicate the first accused. So that's settled, sealed. And so today, what they're saying is to tender the same tape. So we said, fine, if you want to tender, you must show that it is relevant to the issues you are going to contest in this matter. And that's why we demonstrated that it's not relevant so far as the determination of whether they are guilty or not guilty or the issues involved that we said. So that's the difference.
There are many who of the view that the last court sitting, the judge advised the Attorney General to look at the situation and if possible, directly, he should not involve himself. Like, is that the reason we didn't see him today?
We are looking at it. So definitely, you get to know whatever decision that he takes.
Has he taken the advice from the judge?
He's looking at it. So you wait. When the time comes, you definitely know the decision that he has taken.
Are we going to see him back in court on Thursday?
He's a lawyer. He comes to court as and when he deems it fit. If he thinks that on any day he needs to be in court, he will be in court.
But would it take part in the ongoing trial?
You leave it for now and let's see the decision that he takes.
Okay. So that's the Deputy Attorney General.
Alfred Chiayebwa, yes, speaking to us there, and especially why Godfred Yeboah-Dami wasn't present. He's looking at it, so we'll get to know the case hasn't ended in the coming days, if he'll be in court or not.
Please give me some guidance on this. So, beyond this admissibility matter before the court, once Jakwa's testimony is done, will the prosecution cross-examine him?
Yes. So lawyers of Dr. Kasila Atufosin have 2 hours, remaining 2 hours to cross-examine.
So that's lawyers for Atufosin. But I mean, counsel for prosecution.
Yes.
Would they cross-examine Jakwa?
Yes. So after Kasila Atufosin's lawyers are done,
then they will also have their
prosecution
turn.
will also have their turn.
But Murtala, I want to find out, before Francis, you come to me. So we just heard Chiayebwa, the Deputy AG, talk about the fact that the absence of Godfred Yeboah-Dami yesterday was not stricto sensu because he had decided to take the advice of the trial judge, right? But then he gives indication that he's still looking at the advice at the appropriate time.
He'll come out.
He will come out. The man had told you, barefaced, that it's an advice and he was not taking it.
Yeah, it's an advice that he.
What might have changed? Because I suspect that good counsel might have prevailed on him.
Yeah.
I sat somewhere and said that was a plea from the judge that don't get me bent because of what you have engaged in. You are making my work difficult for me, right? So even though it came in a veiled strong advice, as he put it. Like, I was strongly advised that, in essence,
You can
she
infer-
was trying
you
to.
can
Yes,
infer
you can
that
infer
it
that.
is
So
more-
that said that, Charlie, can you leave the scene for me so at least you make my work easier? Just maybe.
To make my work easier, that one it's subjective.
Okay.
But what I think the proper thing to do as just not to make things personal is that you are doing your professional job, you are doing your job. And so in situation whereby you think that your emotions will override whatever you do, it is best that you step aside or you allow somebody else to do. And the prosecution is a team. So sometimes the attorney general, but it is a case that the attorney general has found very much interest in it. And in this case, he has been very consistent. So much of the time, most of the cross-examination from ever since Dr. Kasiela Tufos opened his defense, most of the cross-examination he has been doing. In fact, for Sylvester Anemana, he was the one who was expecting to do, and then this whole matter happened. So for the court was of the view that, look, you are heard on tape with an accused person, and so it will be best if you
step
don't,
aside.
Yes,
Yeah.
you don't involve yourself. But the AG was saying, I am in charge, I am conducting this case. But after he wasn't present in court, good counsel.
Good counsel. Yes,
absolutely.
yes. And another thing, before you land, there were suggestions that without the AG, because the AG is the AG. In fact, the Attorney General is mentioned in the Constitution, and so if the AG is to recuse himself, then it means that he should equally leave the office as an Attorney General. Otherwise, every prosecution emanates in the name of the AG, right? Initiation and everything. And I was telling the person that, see, when we talk about the AG, the Constitution is referring to a department,
Absolutely.
the Attorney General's department, made up of deputy AGs, made up of state prosecutors, and what have you.
Yeah.
So the Attorney General himself not being involved doesn't mean that the prosecutorial power of the Attorney General's department has been taken out. And that's exactly what we witnessed yesterday.
It happens in all the arms of government.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening within the executive, if
Napo is
goes
not
to
there.
do anything,
Yeah.
it is president that
Oh,
will
yeah.
refer to fire him because he's doing ABCD.
Yes.
And it happens in order. If something is happening at the judiciary, it is the CJ that we have. But of course, the CJ works with people.
Exactly.
And it is those people who feed her with the information that is able to come out. I know that when cases go to the Attorney General, they are assigned to various attorneys.
Exactly.
So, Francis, you are working on this. IB, you are working on this. But you have to update your bosses on wherever you have gotten to. And if the boss realizes that the way this case is, I want to do it myself, it happens. So that's why he himself. There are other cases. Sagleme, Attorney General is not there. The Major Mahama case, Attorney General is not there. But the final day, during the when the jurors were about to return their verdict, he was present. So in some other cases, when decisions are about to be taken, he comes around.
So it is most likely that in this case, when Atufosin's team is done cross-examining Japa,
it is the AG's.
the AG's department will have its turn, and it's most likely that the Attorney General, that the Attorney General Godfrey Award, will not do the
For now, yesterday he wasn't in court. And what I do know,
it's impossible that he may be present, but he won't do the cross-examination.
it's possible.
It's
It
possible.
happens all the time.
No, it's possible.
So
It's possible.
sometimes they announce him as the leader of the team.
All right.
And definitely yesterday was Alfred Chiaibua, who is the leader of the prosecution team, but he was the director of public prosecution.
That conducted that
yes,
phase.
absolutely. So for them, they decide who is supposed to. There are many times that the Attorney General will be at the Supreme Court, but they have state attorney who are assigned with the case docket or the case brief to do it. They will only inform the court that they are being led by the Attorney General and all that. So they have
Were there indications in court yesterday that beyond the 16 minutes, there were other tapes that were supposed to be brought before the judge's attention?
So Sami Jemfi indicated to us after the court sitting that apart from the tape, they have WhatsApp conversations which date back as far back 2022. So the court's assessment that this audio was taken just after a determination was made that the accused person should open their defense. For them, they have more to come that they have not even put before the court. And the question is, then why are you not making it available to the court?
The same question was asked before the 16 minutes was made available to the court, if you remember. That, okay, if they indeed believe that there was something on the tape, why had they not placed it before the judge. Subsequently, they did. So let's see. It might be a strategy.
Of course, you all have your strategy to play.
Yeah.
Just like we heard people saying that the very day the Attorney General did not react was that he's waiting for cross-examination to go. We had so many commentaries and all that. Of course. Francis, let's hear from Sami Jemfi after the court's decision yesterday.
If you look at the evidence on that pen drive, or the evidence that we have even put out in the media, that I know very well put before the court, okay? There are WhatsApp chats between Japa and Godfrey. And if you go through the WhatsApp chats, you realize that Godfrey Dami's interactions and meetings and telephone conversations with Mr. Japa did not start 2 weeks ago. You will know that those interactions started as far back as February 2022 at the outset of the case. Even before the Attorney General will call his first prosecution witness, he was having these interactions with Japa. Japa has testified to these matters in his affidavits before the court, where he had a meeting with him and he told him that, I know you are innocent, but I cannot enter nolli prosequi for you because it will expose my real motive, which is to persecute Attoforsen. So wait, when we get to the submission of no case stage, you'll be left off the book. That was not the meeting had two or 3 weeks ago. These were discussions held years ago. So when you see people reducing everything to this tape, which was recorded on the 9th of April, after a prima facie case had already been determined, they are not assessing the evidence holistically. Because on the tape, you hear Japa saying that you have been meeting me in my cousin Kolendi's house on several occasions. Is that on the tape or not? Now, those meetings happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. No.
But
those meetings happened at the outset, from the beginning of the case. So these issues about bad faith on the part of the Attorney General did not start today. They go to the very foundation of the case. So don't fall into that trap.
All right, so that's Sami Jemfi speaking there after the court sitting. All right, so while all this was happening, remember that the case involves the Attorney General, the MP for Ejumako Enyanisiam, who's also the minority leader Attoforsen, and businessman Richard Japa. Yesterday was when Parliament resumed.
Yes.
Which will have meant that all leaders are supposed to be present in the House.
Exactly.
And that should include the minority leader Attoforsen.
Yes.
How did this case impact on proceedings in the House of Parliament?
Well, for the largest part of the day and the greater part of the day, the minority leader could not have been in two places at the same time. So he was absent from Parliament from morning until after 3 p.m. Now, that held back the work of Parliament because his charges, and I'm talking about the minority side, had taken a strong exception to another rejection yet again from the trial judge of a request for the minority leader to be excused for yesterday. Of course, it's a criminal trial, so the accused ought to be present, but the discretion of the judge equally allows for exceptions to be made. In this regard, they wanted the minority leader to be in Parliament because he was to give his opening remarks and what have you, first day of Parliament reconvening. So a request was put before the judge last week, per what Governor Kwame Agbodza, the minority chief whip, told us, by the lawyers for Dr. Kesel Attoforsen. That request was rejected. As a result, yesterday, just before midday, the minority, through its chief whip, addressed the media and said they are resurrecting something they had, a declaration they had made when this whole trial started. If you remember, the minority had indicated that any day that the Attoforsen was going to be in court, that Collins Dowda was going to be in court, that Dr. Kesel Attoforsen was going to be in court, they were going to follow them to the court in solidarity with the three. And until their cases are dispensed of for the day, they will not show up in Parliament to work. With time, I think they relaxed on that declaration. So yesterday, that declaration was resuscitated. that this time around, they suspect the trial judge doesn't want Dr. Kesela Atuforsen to execute his duties as the minority leader. And as a result, any day that Atuforsen is to show up in court, for the period that he will remain in court, the minority members of parliament would not be in the chamber to transact business. So yesterday, that was exactly what happened. Sitting was supposed to start at 10 a.m. It started way after 3 p.m. because the majority on its own could not have constituted the needed numbers to transact business. And besides, Parliament is supposed to be for, at least for now, the two sides. And so that was exactly what happened. So for Tuesdays and Thursdays, be rest assured that if Dr. Kesela Atuforsen sleeps in court, minority will also sleep outside Parliament. If Dr. Kesela Atuforsen is allowed to show up in Parliament, then the minority, which of course has charges, will equally join him to transact business. Yeah, basically, so that's it. So we listen to Dr. Gavin Kwame Aguja, the Member of Parliament for Adakulu, and then Minority Chief Whip.
The Minority Caucus to solidarize with Minority Leader Dr. Kesel Atuforsen in the ongoing court case. The NDC Minority Caucus will only be available for the business of Parliament after proceedings of the court have ended on the days scheduled for the hearing of the ongoing ambulance case trial. The decision comes on the back of the refusal of the presiding High Court judge, Justice Efia Sewa Asare-Botwe Mrs., to grant a request from the lawyers of the minority leader for leave of the court to enable him attend to important parliamentary business on Tuesday, 11th June, that is today, 2024, when the House resumes its third meeting of the fourth session. Last week, Justice Efia Sewa Asare-Botwe again rejected a similar request from the Parliament of Ghana to enable the minority leader take part in a meeting of the Parliamentary Service Board, which was due to take critical decisions ahead of the resumption of Parliament, among others. The NDC caucus was left with no representation at these important meetings. Today, as Parliament commences its third meeting of the fourth session of the 8th Parliament, the minority leader is expected to deliver a resumption address, join parliamentary leadership to engage the press and undertake other important activities as part of his legislative mandate. However, as we speak, he is in court. These are part of very important parliamentary duties exclusively reserved for the leader of the parliamentary caucus at the commencement of parliamentary meeting. The NDC Minority Caucus has taken notice of this worrying trend that shows an attempt by the trial judge, Justice Efia Sewa Asare-Botwe, to prevent the minority leader from performing his constitutional duties as the elected member of Parliament and the leader of the NDC minority in Parliament. In the light of the above and the continuous persecution of the minority leader, the NDC minority will continue to solidarize with and stand by the leader anytime he is due in court. The NDC Minority Caucus further reserves the right to apply all other tools available to us and in any form to approach business on the floor. Thank you.
The press corps had been informed of a leadership engagement. We showed up and realized that.
Okay. I thought you were giving a speech.
No, I was going to ask a question, but it's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's okay.
Okay.
Let it go.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, that's Gavin Kwame Aguja indicating that Parliament had equally written to the court asking for excuse for Dr. Kesela Atuforsen to be in Parliament yesterday. That didn't happen. And that's what has triggered the resurrection of the earlier declaration that whenever Atuforsen is due for court, NDC members will stay out of the chamber.
Now, was there any sense, and since this relates to the trial judge, has the judge responded to, or did the judge give reasons why that request was rejected for Atuforsen?
Yes. Yesterday, Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi responded to that. She makes the point that there was a letter from the Speaker of Parliament dated May 31st. That was a letter that she received, but she didn't receive the letter on that same day. The court makes the point that the court sat on June 6th to make the rulings. He met the parties in chambers. That was not brought to her attention. Then in between, when the court was about to sit yesterday, he received a letter from the defense lawyers, and that letter from the speaker was attached to it. So the judge made the point that, look, the letter was dated as far back as in 31st of May. When we met in chambers on June 6th, we could have discussed it. That was not done. You left my chambers, you went, and just when the case was coming up yesterday, you attached a letter to it. She described it as a love letter. A love letter. Yes. So that one.
Love letter from Parliament. Love letter from Parliament. Okay.
No, for the one from the lawyers.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So
okay.
you know the lawyers.
Yeah.
They wrote and attached the one from the speaker.
I get you.
With the court described as a love letter.
letter.
And the court makes the point that the party should help the courts come to the determination. If at least by the close of this legal year we are done with arguments, then the court can adjourn the case to after the new legal year in October, so that the parties can go about doing their business. So the concern she had was the time she received that notice from, and that's where she made the point, made reference to Mahama Yarige's similar one. He said that assuming the Dr. Kasila Atuforsen is not a minority leader, and he's a headmistress, headmaster of a school. What have become of that? Would that person come to court and say, I have my students around, I have to go and do that?
Attend to them and what have you.
But she made the point that she respects the minority leader. She has the boldness, the courage to stand before people, campaign to be able to win his office. And the kind of people that he's leading, the court acknowledged that. It makes him even much courageous than even the judge. But the point is that they should help the courts to also do this very case. So it is in that context that Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi rejected the letter. So the impression she gave, she didn't tell us when the letter from the lawyers was dated. But she, per the point that she made, she was clear that the letter from Parliament was dated May 31st. She made the point that on June 6th, when they sat and made the ruling, they made the parties in chamber, that never came up. Then when the court was about to sit yesterday, then the court had that information. Looked at the date and said, no, this cannot hold. So the court will sit. So that was what happened. And that was the response that Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi
Now, based on what you've said, correct me if I'm wrong, does that give an indication that in the future, if the team for Atuforsen makes a fresh request for absence, it will be considered based on when the request is sent, how much time she has to make a determination on the matter. So take, for instance, today is Thursday, today is Wednesday. If a request is put in today that Atuforsen not appear tomorrow in court because he has parliamentary business to go to, would the length of time impact on the judge's decision? I'm not saying you're the judge, but I'm saying flowing from the reason that you have just given us this morning.
Before he comes in, I think my answer from inferring from what the judge said will be no. The judge has actually asked the parties to help her steer the case so that at least by the time the legal vacation comes, they will have concluded on one thing, one leg of the prosecution. And then the other parties could then have their freedom to do whatever they are doing. That's one. Two, you heard her relate to a headmaster or headmistress, right? Or an ordinary Ghanaian.
An ordinary person.
So, and this is not the first time that this judge is making this argument. During the Mahama Ayariga trial, she made a similar argument when Bagun was not even the speaker. By then it was Professor Makokwe who was the speaker. And to her, the judge, there should not be any special dispensation for members of parliament as against Akosua Menu from the Market Square.
Okay.
But I must make the point that there have been some instances that the case was adjourned because the minority leader will have to travel outside
the country. Okay.
That one is established.
Yeah.
What the judge is trying to assert is that, look, if for any reason the accused person, Dr. Kasiel Atufo, will have to travel, bring it to the attention of the court on time.
Yeah.
So the reason the court had issues with that, the letter was dated May 31st.
Long time ago.
The court sat on June 6th.
Yeah.
No information was given to the judge.
Then
judge. Just went to this. Yesterday was on the 11th, right?
Yes.
Then you bring that to the attention of the court.
Yeah.
The court will think probably
you're ambushing it.
So if that letter was brought to the attention of the court on 6th June, you can be rest assured that yesterday's sitting probably would have been adjourned. Yeah. And then let me even make the case of Alhaji Collins without that. Yeah. The Sagleme affordable housing. There are so many instances that the case will have to come to court, and then he has to travel, and then the court will say, okay, if the first accused person is not here, then and the passport as part of bail conditions are also with the court. Yeah. So when you are traveling elsewhere, you just have to make an application for it to be released. And once that is in the known of the court, it becomes very easy. So the issue here with the judge rejecting that particular request has to do with the timing that the letter from Parliament was written and when it was brought to her attention.
Okay. Yeah, and unless you have Ghana card, then you can travel like Collins the other day.
Yesterday, I saw that you were making some countries and how many countries.
Now you can go with passports from the European countries and what have you. Interesting.
The case is getting interesting. How Parliament interest and then the court case of panning out and all that is becoming very interesting.
Oh, yes.
Today, Alhaji Collins Dada is in court.
Okay.
Yes, today is in court. So we'll see what will happen.
What happened in that respect? Okay. Definitely. Let's wrap up on two other matters that happened yesterday before we look to what's coming today.
Yes.
The Abban murder case. Yes. What's become of it?
Richard Appiah, 28 at the time that the incident happened. And so yesterday, the issues of the jurors, they are still on strike, and this is a jury trial. And so the court had nothing to do. The court hands were tied. The court was handicapped. So they have to adjourn the case to July 1. The court was expected yesterday to do what we call case management completion plan. They are going to plan for how each witness will come to court, what they will have to come and do, the time they will spend and all that. But because of the fact that the jurors were not present, they have to take the time with them so that they will cross it. It doesn't clash with other cases that they are also involved in. So that matter has been adjourned to July 1.
Sister Dapa's mates, what's become of it?
Yes. So Mr. Daniel Sekufo, yesterday was in court, and then the defense lawyers of the accused persons, in fact, the Faith and Sixth subjected him to cross-examination, and now Patience Botry, the almighty Patience Botry, the young lady in the center of this whole thing, lawyers are now subjecting Mr. Daniel Sekufo to further cross-examination. Yesterday they started, and today that case is continuing. So as part of this very case, it is coming on today also, and we expect that lawyers of Patience Botry, the 18-year-old lady who was said to have led this whole thing, or together with Sarah AJ masterminded the stealing of this whole money that we are talking about, would subject him to cross-examination. And this case is before Justice Marie Louise Simmons of the Criminal Court 2. So whatever will happen, we'll surely update and then bring it to our the attention of our viewers and then listeners.
Today in court, you mentioned a lot of Collins Dada being in court. Absolutely. On the Sagleme housing matter.
Yes.
First of all, where are we on the case and what are we to expect today?
So first prosecution witness is done. We are expecting the second one. He's been in court for 2 sittings, but he had issues with the exhibit that he's attaching to his witness statement. The defense wanted the whole thing structured so that once they pick his witness statement, it has all the exhibit. But prosecution was also of the view that those exhibits that he has made references to in his witness statement are already before the court, so they can just make reference. They said they want a very tidy record. So whatever you say, attach it to the witness. So when you pick a witness statement, we know which exhibit we are referring to. So Justice Ernest Owusu-Dapaah, there's an objection that is pending that today you have to deal with it. After that, then we'll know whether the second prosecution witness will continue with his evidence in chief or no. So that is what is happening. The Sagleme affordable housing case is back in court. Alhaji Collins Dada, Kweku Ajuman Mensah, Alhaji Zebnim Yakubu, and then Angelo Nuvi Tete. They all be in court. Remember that the contractor in this whole matter, his passed on. So his record had already been expunged from the records.
Okay. All right. So that's for the
This
matter
on
to do
Saglemi.
with Saglemi. Okay. Now there's another case that we also need to pay attention to, the Beige Bank case. Where are we on that one?
Today, we expect the 10th defense witness to be in court, 61. So if we are having the 10 now, the 10th witness today, it means we have how many?
51 to go.
But as to whether we'll call all the 51 is another thing altogether. Yesterday in the NAM1 case, one of the things that the lawyers of NAM1 said was that prosecution called 9 witnesses. So far, it is only 9 people who have complained, officially complained that their monies have been. What happened to the over 16,000 people that they allege? Where are they? You can't punish somebody using faceless people. So that is a lesson that other accused persons can look at it, and if they so wish, they can also take a cue from that. But what is clear is that what I do know, as I talk to you now, is that officially our 15 witness statements have been filed in court. We'll know more if today they file some additional more. But what is clear is that the 10th defense witness for Michael Nyineku is expected in court today to testify.
All right. Thank you very much, Murtala Inusah,
Thank you, Francis.
our legal affairs correspondent, bringing us the whole lowdown for what happened yesterday and what to expect today in the courts. At some point, there was a confluence with Parliament. Sorted now. We'll see how things pan out today and also tomorrow. I'll go for a short break now. When I return, the matter of Galamsey and the Asin East NPP parliamentary candidate is still a hot burner matter. The NDC are making some demands. We'll find out what these demands are and subject to some scrutiny as well. In Parliament, there are some other issues emanating that we will pay some attention to right here on the Morning Star. So, quick break. When I am back, we'll have a lot for you right here on the Morning Star. Stay with us.